Special Tribunal for Lebanon is now in session.
والرئيس رفيق الحريري كان حاضرا بقوة.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Future TV. I'm Linda Tamim and these are today's top stories. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri says Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has most likely given the order for the assassination of his father. President Sleiman says the path is clear for forming a new cabinet this week. And Saudi Arabia rejects Iran's participation in Syria's talks in Geneva after UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon invited Iran to take part in the talks. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri says Syria's President Bashar al-Assad had most likely given the order for the assassination of his father, former Prime Minister Saad Hariri, in 2005. In an interview with Agence France Presse, Assad accused the UN-backed court of being a political tool to target Hezbollah. Hariri's comments came during an interview with Europe 1, in which the leader of the Future movement also said he will return to Lebanon for the parliamentary elections. Hariri also reiterated his accusation that Assad was behind the assassination of former Minister Mohammed Shattah in Beirut last December. Asked why international justice was a long process, Hariri said it was due to 50 years of impunity in the country. He added, "This is the first time that the international community has established a process of justice for Lebanon in order to end political assassinations." The defense teams of two of the suspects accused of involvement in ex-Premier Hariri's assassination have made their opening statements on this third day of trial, held at the seat of the Special Tribunal for Lebanon in The Hague. They cited lack of evidence against the accused and stressed the difficulty of the role over lack of cooperation of the Lebanese authorities and as well as lack of time. Prosecutors are relying on a web of timings and locations of mobile phone calls they say were made by the bombers as they tracked Hariri in the months, weeks, days and even minutes before his assassination. But Antoine Korkmaz, the defense lawyer of Mustafa Badreddin, the alleged mastermind of Hariri's murder, says there was no evidence on the participation of Badreddin in the conspiracy. Korkmaz accused the prosecutor of communicating its documents on the investigation late to the defense team. The Special Tribunal for Lebanon has denied accusations its work served as a tool to pressure any Lebanese political party after Syrian President Bashar al-Assad slammed the UN-backed court as politicized and aimed at targeting Hezbollah. STL spokesperson Martin Youssef, who declined to respond directly to Assad's remarks, said the STL was absolutely not a tool to pressure any political party in the country. Assad, in an interview with AFP, said he believed the STL was politicized and is intended to put pressure on Hezbollah in Lebanon. Youssef said what goes on in the tribunal speaks for itself. It's a judicial process separate from any political accusations. The next trial session will be held this coming Wednesday at 10 a.m. local time. President Michel Sleiman says the path is clear for forming a new cabinet this week. After meeting with diplomats of foreign countries, Sleiman told reporters there are no more obstacles and the end of this week will be decisive. Lebanon's 10-month-old cabinet deadlock has recently witnessed hopes for a breakthrough after former Prime Minister Saad Hariri voiced willingness to take part in a cabinet with Hezbollah and after a 888 cabinet lineup has been gaining the support of most political rivals. Speaking to diplomats in Baghdad, Sleiman called for international efforts to help keep Lebanon distant from the Syrian crisis. He added that the country has been damaged by the crisis in Syria and is looking forward for a political solution to the nearly 3-year-old turmoil in the neighboring country. The president also reiterated his keenness on holding the presidential elections on time and hailed Saudi Arabia's grant to the Lebanese army, hoping the international community will continue to support Lebanon's stability. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon invites Iran to participate in Syria peace talks in Montreux, Switzerland. Saudi Arabia has rejected this move, saying Iran is not eligible to attend the Syria peace talks in Geneva, especially because it has military forces inside Syria.
I believe strongly that Iran needs to be part of the solution to the Syrian crisis. I have spoken at length in recent days with Iran's Foreign Minister, Mr. Javad Zarif. He has assured me that, like all the other countries invited to the opening day discussions in Montreux, Iran understands that the basis of the talks is the full implementation of the 30 June 2012 Geneva Communique. Iran understands that the basis of this conference is the Geneva Communique 1. And the main goal of this Geneva Conference 2 should be to establish a transitional governing body with the full executive powers upon mutual consent. He assured me again and again that Iran, if they are invited, then they will play a very positive, constructive role. Foreign Minister Zarif and I agree that the goal of the negotiations is to establish, by mutual consent, a transitional governing body with the full executive powers. It was on that basis that Foreign Minister Zarif pledged that Iran would play a positive and constructive role in Montreux.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad says he is likely to run in June's presidential race, casting more doubt on the upcoming Geneva II talks, which his opponents threatened to boycott if an invitation made to Iran is not retracted. The Syrian president said there was a significant chance he would make a candidacy bid 2 days ahead of talks set to discuss a political transitional plan that does not include his regime. If there is public opinion in favor of his candidacy, Assad says he will not hesitate for a second to run for elections. An Islamist group from Russia's North Caucasus has threatened to attack the Sochi Winter Olympics in a video published online. In a warning to President Vladimir Putin over next month's games, the hosts and visitors were singled out for target. The message says, and I quote, "If you hold the Olympics, you will receive a present from us, for you and all those tourists who will come over. It will be for all the Muslim blood that is shed every day around the world, be it in Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria, all around the world. This will be our revenge," they say. The video says two men from the group Vilayat Dagestan, linked to an Iraqi faction called Ansar al-Sunn, carried out the two attacks in Volgograd last month that killed 34 people and injured more than 100. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a quick recap of our top stories. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri says Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has most likely given the order for the assassination of his father. President Michel Sleiman says the path is clear for forming a new cabinet this week. And finally, Saudi Arabia rejects Iran's participation in Syria talks in Geneva after UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon invited Iran to take part in the talks. That's it from me and the news team here at Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, wishing you all a very good week ahead.
The Special Tribunal for Lebanon is now in session.